The Golden River's Secret. Robert, a quiet 20-year-old, lived on the edge of a small village with his grandfather, Elias. Their house stood near the forest, where the trees whispered stories and the distant river sang through the fields. Life was simple. Robert helped in the fields, repaired tools, and listened to Elias's tales every evening by the fireplace. They had a routine. Mornings began with the rooster's calls and ended with the rich orange skies of dusk. Elias, though growing older, still managed to guide Robert, often using stories to pass on wisdom. Robert loved those evenings, the flicker of the fire, the smell of old wood, and the gentle rhythm of his grandfather's voice. But one morning, everything changed. Robert awoke to the sound of harsh coughing. He rushed into Elias's room and found him pale, trembling, and flushed with fever. "Grandpa!" Robert dropped to his knees, placing a cool hand on Elias's forehead. The old man tried to wave him off. "It's just a cold," Elias croaked, offering a faint smile. But Robert knew better. He boiled soup, brewed herbs, and kept Elias warm. But days passed, and the fever only grew worse. The once strong man now struggled to sit up in bed. Robert's worry deepened with each passing hour. He visited the village healer, who crushed bitter leaves and instructed him to boil the concoction twice a day. "It may help," the healer said without confidence. Robert did as told, but the leaves had no effect. Desperate, he journeyed to nearby villages, searching for help. He spoke to wandering herbalists, old midwives, and even a traveling priest. Some gave him ointments, others strange powders, and one even suggested prayers at the sacred fig tree near the hilltop. Nothing worked. Elias continued to wither. One afternoon, while scouring the forest floor for wild herbs, Robert sat by a fallen log, exhausted. The sun was setting, and golden light filtered through the trees. His mind drifted to old memories, stories his grandfather used to tell about hidden remedies, secret places, and magical moments in nature. Then, he remembered Barrett, Elias's friend from long ago, a man who lived deep within the forest, a recluse with a reputation for strange knowledge. Robert hadn't seen him in years. Some villagers said he had gone mad. Others believed he practiced forbidden healing. But Robert remembered Elias once saying, "Barrett sees what others don't." With renewed determination, Robert headed into the deeper woods. It was almost dark when he found the old cottage, buried under vines and moss. Smoke rose from the chimney. Robert knocked. The door creaked open. A wrinkled face peered out, sharp eyes set in a weathered frame. "Robert." Barrett's voice was raspy, but alert. "Elias's boy?" "Yes," Robert said. "Grandpa's ill. I've tried everything." Barrett nodded slowly and stepped aside. Inside, the cottage smelled of dried herbs and something older, like forgotten secrets. Barrett motioned for Robert to sit. He poured warm herbal tea and listened as Robert explained. "There's something," Barrett finally said, placing his cup down. His eyes narrowed. "A river secret. Long ago, your grandfather and I discovered it." Robert leaned forward. "Once a year," Barrett whispered, "on the day just before spring, the river turns gold. Not because of magic, but light. The sun hits it at a perfect angle through the trees. Just for seconds. But the water during that moment, it's unlike anything else. Pure. Healing." Robert blinked. "You mean it could help him?" "It healed me once," Barrett said, rolling up his sleeve to reveal a deep, faded scar. "I was worse than Elias. Your grandfather brought me the golden water. It saved me." Robert stood abruptly. "When does it happen?" "Tomorrow, just before dawn. But it's hidden. You must be at the exact bend in the river, between the Twin Oaks. Miss the moment, and you'll have to wait another year." Barrett retrieved a piece of parchment and drew a crude but detailed map. He marked trees, stones, and the hidden bend. "Go early. Wait. The light doesn't wait for anyone." Back home, Robert sat beside Elias's bed that night. The old man stirred now and then, muttering incoherent words. Robert tucked him in, left a note, and packed a clay pot, some food, and a woolen shawl. Then, before dawn, he set off into the forest. The woods were silent. The stars faded as hints of pink crept over the horizon. Robert followed Barrett's map, dodging roots and ducking under branches. He reached the ridge. A cool breeze danced through the trees. Then he saw them, the Twin Oaks. Their gnarled trunks leaned toward each other, like ancient guardians. He found the bend. The The river there was quiet, slow, almost reverent. Robert waited. Minutes passed. Then, a single ray of sunlight pierced through the canopy. It struck a stone on the riverbank, bounced off the water's curve, and for a brief, breathtaking moment, the river turned gold. Liquid light shimmered. It wasn't a reflection. It was as if the river itself had turned to molten gold. Robert gasped. He dipped the clay pot quickly, careful not to spill. Just as the last drop filled the pot, the light vanished. The river returned to its usual shade. Robert ran. He reached home, breathless, mud-covered. Elias was barely conscious. "Grandpa, please," he whispered, lifting his head gently. He helped him drink the golden water. That day, Elias slept deeply. The next morning, he was still. Robert panicked. Then, Elias opened his eyes. "Robert," he murmured, voice faint but steady. By the third day, Elias sat up. "I dreamed," he said, "of a golden river. And you were there." Robert laughed, eyes welling. A week passed. Elias walked to the porch unaided, gazing across the fields with new light in his eyes. Barrett visited that evening. The three of them sat under the stars, sipping warm tea. "You believed in something invisible," Elias told Robert. "That's rare." Robert nodded. "You gave me stories. I just followed one." Spring came in full bloom. The fields turned green, and laughter returned to their home. Every year, on the same day, Robert would visit the bend. He'd sit under the twin oaks, watch the river glow, and remember. He always brought a pot back home, just in case. The village never knew. Some said Elias recovered by luck. Others credited the healer. But for Robert, Elias, and Barrett, the Golden River was a bond. A secret, a miracle, and it flowed quietly, unseen, just beyond the edge of belief.